Train your aura for success. No one can ignore. You were never meant to chase success. Chasing is not ambition. Chasing is the reflex of a nervous system that does not yet trust its own gravity. It is what happens when the inner field believes that opportunity must be hunted, convinced, or captured before it disappears. Chasing leaks energy forward. It pulls you out of your center. And once you abandon your center, coherence dissolves. When coherence dissolves, success does not resist you. It simply does not recognize you. Look carefully at the people who rise and remain steady over time, not the ones who flash briefly and burn out. The ones who build, sustain, expand, and remain grounded. They are not frantic. They are not loud. They are not addicted to urgency, validation, or explanation. They do not overshare their plans. They do not perform their worth. They move with an invisible gravity that cannot be faked. When they enter a room, the tempo changes. Conversations slow down. People listen more carefully. Decisions feel lighter, clearer, more obvious. This is not personality. This is not privilege. This is not luck. This is a trained aura. Your aura is the silent field around you. It is the emotional atmosphere you carry without effort. It is the frequency you sustain when no one is watching and nothing is being performed. It is the signal you emit when you are alone, unobserved, unvalidated. Before you speak, your aura speaks. Before you negotiate, your aura sets the tone. Before opportunity approaches or retreats, your aura has already communicated whether you are safe, grounded, coherent, and prepared to hold what is coming. This is where most people misunderstand success. They believe success responds to effort. They believe money responds to strategy. They believe opportunity responds to desire, hustle, speed, intelligence, or timing. Those things matter, but they are secondary. Success responds first to readiness. Money responds first to emotional safety. Opportunity responds first to coherence. If your inner world is fragmented, your outer world mirrors fragmentation. If your emotions are volatile, life becomes unpredictable. If your identity is uncertain, outcomes hesitate, delay, or collapse at the final moment. Not because life is cruel, but because alignment is missing. The world is not against you. It is reflecting you. Reflection is not punishment. Reflection is feedback. Life does not judge your intentions. It does not care how badly you want something. It responds to your state. It responds to your baseline. It responds to the emotional posture you return to when nothing is happening and no one is watching. That posture is your real signal. This is why wanting more often leads to less. Wanting is tension. Wanting is lack disguised as hope. Wanting sends a signal that says, I am not there yet. I do not have. I am incomplete. The universe responds faithfully to that signal, not to frustrate you, but because it is precise. Embodiment sends a different message. Embodiment says, I am available. I am grounded. I am prepared to sustain what arrives. I am not chasing because I am not afraid it will disappear. That message does not require force. It does not require performance. It carries authority by default. Your aura is not built in moments of inspiration. It is built in moments of normality. How you wake up when there is nothing urgent. How you breathe when plans slow down. How you respond to silence, delay, or uncertainty. How you speak to yourself when no one is listening and there is no applause to chase. These moments train your baseline. And your baseline determines your results. You do not rise to your goals. You fall to your baseline. You do not live at the level of your vision. You live at the level of your emotional default. Most people train their aura unintentionally. They normalize anxiety and call it ambition. They normalize urgency and call it productivity. They normalize self-doubt and call it humility. They normalize emotional chaos and call it realism. They normalize exhaustion and call it commitment. Then they wonder why life feels heavy, resistant, slow, or confusing. This is why affirmations without embodiment fail. You can repeat abundance with your mouth, But if your body whispers fear, the body wins. You can visualize success, but if your nervous system associates success with pressure, exposure, loss of freedom, or responsibility, it does not feel ready to hold. Resistance appears, not because you are broken, because your system is protecting you. Protection always overrides desire. This is a law. So training your aura means training safety with expansion. It means teaching your body that more is not dangerous, that visibility is not threat, that responsibility is not punishment, that success does not equal loss. Many people secretly associate success with pain. Pain they experience directly. Pain they witnessed in others. Pain they inherited emotionally. They saw money create conflict. They saw power create distance. They saw success demand sacrifice, isolation, or burnout. They saw people lose themselves when they made it. So unconsciously, they learned to stay small and call it virtue. Later, they called it fate, but it is conditioning. And conditioning can be rewritten, not through force, through repetition, regulation, and truth. The wealthy do not rehearse excitement. They rehearse inevitability. They do not wake up wondering if they are worthy. They wake up grounded in the assumption that what they are building makes sense, that they belong in rooms before they enter them, that they can handle responsibility without collapsing. Assumption shapes posture. Posture shapes behavior. Behavior shapes outcomes. This is how success becomes calm. Not effortless, but frictionless. Friction disappears when internal resistance dissolves, when the body no longer argues with the future, when the nervous system stops bracing for collapse, when identity and intention finally agree. Calm is not passivity. Calm is regulated power. When you are calm, you signal control. When you signal control, others relax. When others relax, trust emerges. Trust is the real currency. People do not follow intelligence. They follow certainty. People do not invest in ideas. They invest in people whose presence feels stable, coherent, and self-led. Stability is emotional discipline. Those who sustain success are not emotionally reactive. They are emotionally deliberate. They do not let every thought become belief. They do not let every emotion become identity. They do not let every reaction define direction. They curate their inner world as carefully as their outer assets. Because the inner world is the asset, you were not born misaligned. You were trained by repetition, trained by observation, trained by emotional inheritance. You learned how to feel about money by watching how others felt about it. You learned how to relate to success by seeing how it was praised, criticized, feared, or punished. You learned your emotional ceiling long before you chose your goals. Unlearning this is not intellectual. It is somatic. It happens in the body. That is why insight alone does not transform lives. That is why motivation fades. That is why clarity without practice collapses. Your aura changes when your emotional defaults change. When calm becomes familiar. When certainty becomes normal. When self-trust replaces self-monitoring. When expansion no longer triggers panic. This is also why environment matters so deeply. Your environment amplifies your signal. If you consume urgency, you radiate urgency. If you consume fear, you radiate contraction. If you consume noise, you radiate confusion. If you consume comparison, you radiate inadequacy. But when you consume depth, intention, clarity, and excellence, your field sharpens. You stop leaking energy explaining yourself. You stop seeking validation. You stop negotiating your worth. You stop reacting to everything and start responding selectively. Life begins to meet you differently. Opportunities feel cleaner. Conversations feel more direct. Money feels less emotional. Decisions feel simpler. Stability attracts responsibility. Responsibility attracts reward. This is not mysticism. This is coherence. This is alignment. This is cause and effect operating at an emotional level most people never train. Training your aura requires letting go of identities that once kept you safe. The version of you that bonds through struggle. The version that hides behind modesty to avoid exposure. The version that needs approval to feel real. The version that confuses humility with self-erasure. These identities were adaptive. They were intelligent responses to earlier environments. They are not wrong, but they cannot lead you forward. Your aura knows this before your mind accepts it. This is why growth feels uncomfortable. This is why expansion creates friction. This is why some relationships shift without explanation. You are not losing people. You are outgrowing frequencies. Do not chase what dissolves. Do not drag the past into a future it cannot survive. Your aura needs space to strengthen. Now let us talk about practice, because philosophy without application is poverty in disguise. Every day, before the world demands anything from you, return to your body, not to fix it, not to improve it, to inhabit it. Breathe slowly. Lower urgency. Let your nervous system feel grounded without proof. Notice how often your body rushes ahead of reality. Notice how often it braces for outcomes that have not happened. Gently bring it back. Speak to yourself with authority, not motivation. I am safe with more. I can hold responsibility. I move at the pace of alignment. I do not rush outcomes. I become congruent with them. Repeat these until they feel neutral. Neutrality is mastery. Excitement fades. Drama exhausts. Neutral confidence stays. When this becomes your baseline, success stops feeling dramatic. It becomes ordinary. Ordinary is sustainable. Sustainable is powerful. People will feel this before they understand it. They will trust you without knowing why. They will listen without resistance. They will offer without persuasion. Your aura is no longer asking. It is available. It is steady. It is coherent. It is trained. This is success no one can ignore, not because you demand attention, but because alignment is unmistakable. You do not need to announce yourself when your presence speaks clearly. You do not need to convince when your signal is clean. Stop chasing the visible. Train the invisible. Train your aura. Because when your inner field is coherent, the outer world reorganizes itself without force. Doors open without drama. Opportunities arrive without panic. Money flows without emotional charge. Respect comes without explanation. And one day you will look back and realize something quietly profound. You were never meant to chase success. You were meant to become someone success recognizes, trusts, and stays with.